Hello, everyone. Today, let's dive into an essential aspect of ancient Indian governance village administration. It's fascinating to see how the smallest unit of governance, the village, played such a significant role in shaping ancient India's political, social, and economic system. In ancient times, the village wasn't just a place where people lived, it was a world in itself, a self contained, self regulated units that functioned almost independently in many ways. Villages were the backbone of society, and understanding their governance gives us a glimpse into the life and values of ancient India. Let's break this down into key aspects for better understanding. The village, a hub of local governance or as a basic unit. The village was the basic unit of governance. Each village operated as an autonomous entity. This means that while there was a king or central authority, villages had their own system to handle day to day matters. These responsibilities were managed by local bodies like the village council or Gram Sabha. For example, imagine a scenario where a farmer's cow damages a neighbor's crops. Instead of taking the issue to the king, the villagers would resolve the dispute locally through their own systems of governance. The second aspect is the role of the village headman or the Grampati or the Gramadyaka. The head of the village was the Gramapati or Gramadhyaksha. This individual was like the captain of the ship, ensuring everything ran smoothly in the village. Think of him as a combination of a mayor, a judge, and an administrator. The headsman duties include maintaining law and order in the village, collecting taxes from the villagers on behalf of the king. For example, taxes might be paid in the form of crops, cattle, or even labor. Another function of the headman is to settle disputes among villages, whether they were about land, trade, or personal issues. And other duties include overseeing religious festivals and cultural events. The headman did not walk alone. He was supported by a council of elders or other village officers, ensuring that decisions were fair and reflected the community's needs. Imagine a scenario where a dispute arises between two families over irrigation rights. The headman, with the help of the council, would listen to both sides, refer to local customs, and suggest a solution acceptable to both parties. So we have the village council or the panchayat. One of the most remarkable features of ancient Indian governance was the panchayat or the council of five. This was a democratic institution where elders or respected individuals of the village were chosen to make decisions for the community. The word panchayat comes from panch, meaning five. Although the council could have more members, these members were trusted to make fair and wise decisions. The panchayat handled many responsibilities, such as settling disputes within the village organizing public works like building irrigation systems or repairing roads, resolving conflicts over property or trade. Let's say a village needs a new irrigation canal to water the fields. The panchayat would discuss the project with the villagers, decide how much labor each family would contribute, and oversee the constructions. Decisions made by the panchayat were often based on customs and traditions. What's interesting is that in some regions, their decisions were legally binding, which means everyone had to follow them. The other aspect is the taxation and revenue collection. In ancient India, villages contributed taxes to the state. These taxes were usually in the form of agricultural produce, livestock, or sometimes even manual labor. The headman played a critical role in collecting these taxes and ensuring they reached the king or the central administration. But where did the tax money go? It was used for things like building roads and bridges, maintaining temples, funding the military to protect the kingdom. Imagine a village growing wheat. The villagers would give a portion of their harvest as tax, which the headman would send to the king. This wheat could then be used to feed soldiers or support townspeople in urban areas. The next aspect is social and economic role of villages. Villages were not just administrative units, they were also centers of social and economic activity. Most of the population in ancient India lived in villages, and agriculture was the main livelihood. Each village was like a small ecosystem with farmers, artisans, and traders working together. Farmers grew crops, artisans made tools and pottery, and traders ensured that goods reached nearby towns. The village administration ensured that resources were distributed fairly and that everyone could coexist peacefully. Religious leaders like Brahmins often guided the moral and spiritual life of the village. They conducted rituals, taught children, and helped resolve ethical dilemmas. During festivals, the entire village would come together. Farmers might donate food, artisans could create decorations, and religious leaders would lead prayers. This unity made villages resilient and self sufficient. The key features of village administration. Let's summarize some of the key features of ancient Indian village governance. Number one is self governance. Villages manage their own affairs and solve their own problems without needing constant interference from the king. Secondly, it's decentralization. Decisions were made locally, respecting the customs and tradition of each village. Then we have social hierarchy. Governance often reflected the social structure with different groups like Brahmins, Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and Shudras playing specific roles. This system ensured that governance was personalized and focused on the well being of the local community. The governance system of ancient Indian villages provide valuable lessons even today. Their emphasis on local self-rule, decentralization, and community involvement shows how small organized groups can effectively manage their affairs. Even modern institutions like Gram Panchayats in India are inspired by these ancient systems. By studying these models, we understand the importance of connecting governance to the grassroots level, making it more inclusive and responsive to people's needs. That's all for today. Ancient Indian village administration was a remarkable system that balanced autonomy with responsibility, tradition with innovation, and local needs with national priorities. I hope this explanation has given you a clear picture of how villages in ancient India functioned as a centers of governance, economy, and community life. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this session, don't forget to like and subscribe.